So, 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 so are libraries still thriving?
Yes, sir. Especially out in the actually, well, to be honest, like in the state of Maryland as a whole, is definitely thriving, and even parts of Virginia, because thanks to COVID-19 last year, like we had to pivot and make some decisions because before the pandemic, we were a community center that was helping out folks in addition to all the books. And during the pandemic, we had to amp up things. So we basically extended the Wi-Fi to reach the entire parking lots of all of our facilities, got some
Wow.
additional Wi-Fi hotspots as well, and we even bought more Chromebooks because we had about a good 250 Chromebooks, especially in the Baltimore County area, for folks to check out for 7 days. We changed that to 3 weeks, bought about a good 200 more, and we also became a station for families to pick up some free meals for kids. So about a good 10 out of the 19 libraries in the system were stations for folks to really pick up some food for their kids because school days were sometimes the only time certain kids would get the chance to eat, and this is that
Oh, wow. Yeah.
opportunity to help them out.
Wow. The libraries really stepped up. Awesome. Now, did you personally give vaccine shots too?
They encouraged us to get them. We didn't actually administer the vaccine. I don't think they want us doing that. We'll just find the knowledge about it, but we ain't gonna like
Why
it's like
not? Librarians have minds like steel traps. I mean, geez, you could do anything you want as a librarian. Yeah, I would trust a librarian with a needle more. I had one lady one time had to take blood from me, and I swear she was Mrs. Magoo. I don't know if you're old enough to remember Mr. Magoo, but he couldn't see, and she was like holding her glasses up and down and trying to find this giant vein that nobody could miss from a mile away. I'd rather have the librarian taking care of me. At least they they're they got great minds. I mean, I wish I had a librarian at my house here because I just throw stuff on the shelf and some stuff is together and some isn't, and then it's been here 20 years, so you can imagine the kind of nightmare mess my library is. Can't find things, but so you got into the coaching and leadership business. How did that happen?
yeah, so that basically happened about, I'd say, around 6 years ago. I'd say 6 years ago because I found personal development back in late 2012. I'd say late 2012, that year where we thought the world was going to end, and all that really happens is that we just lost Twinkies for a month of all things.
Hmm.
And found personal development, then joined Toastmasters and gave a few speeches and rose up through the ranks to district leadership, overseeing a good 17 clubs, and decided to really take all the stuff that I was reading and adding into my life and put it to a book because a lady from Toastmasters dared me to write a book because to stand out to people, I would just hand out reading lists with my contact information as opposed to business cards because, unless you got a book like a business card, most of them, they're going to the trash or maybe a business card graveyard that people have at home.
Hmm.
And the lady looked at the list. She looked right back at me, looked at the list, looked right back at me, and asked me, where the heck was our book? And I'm like, dude, I was like 23 at the time. I'm like, the heck am I going to write about? I'm 20 freaking 3. And I'm like, no, I'm not on the list. Like, I'm 23. I ain't got no book. She was like, hey, why don't we both write our books a year from today? And we can both be published authors. And I'm like, nah, I think I'm good. I think I'm good. And that conversation ended from there. And then a couple days later, I realized, wait a second, this was a goal of mine. And sometimes we underestimate what we can do in a short amount of time. So even though we didn't shake our hands that day, I still took her up on her offer to write that book. And then 12 months later, my first ever book was published. And that just led to me being able to get on online radio shows and podcasts and be able to continue to eventually get into the coaching business and help other people start their own podcasts or write their own books and just really just help people doing something else outside of the day job.
Yeah, and I know that feeling. My first book took me a couple years, but now, in fact, the day we're recording this, I'm starting another ebook mastermind because I've got books that were written in a matter of hours that have brought in million. The one as of this morning has brought in $3.64 million, and I wrote it in 4 hours. Right, so
Woohoo!
this is this is doable. Plus, when you said 23, oh, what can I write about? We've had an 8-year-old write 3 books and a 12-year-old write 3 books.
Wow.
And yeah, the 12-year-old wrote 21 things I wish